On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks will open the season at the Phoenix Suns. What constitutes a rivalry? Are the Suns a rival now? How will that game go? How will it set the tone for the season? We'll talk about all of that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Hey, Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where I found my guest today. You can go subscribe to the show. The best way to help us grow the show is to comment anything below. We're back to anything. Comment anything below. But let us know, do you think the Suns and Mavs are a rivalry? Would you consider them a rivalry? Let us know in the comment section below. Joining me today from the Slightly Biased channel, he just goes by Slightly Biased. What you got for me?
No, nothing, man. Thanks for having me on. Any day I get the opportunity to spread some propaganda, that's a good day in my books. So I'm happy to be here.
That's what we're here for. Isaac is gone. We can spread the propaganda as much as we want.
Unfiltered.
We learned from Shams Charania at two different times on Twitter that the Mavericks are going to play against the Phoenix Suns in the home opener. We'll talk about that. We'll maybe get into some of the over-unders on BetOnline. There's a couple more things. The Eastern Conference teams, Luka, MVP odds, a couple more things we can talk about. And then let's talk a little Frank, talk a little Josh. The last couple of videos that Slightly Biased did on his channel were about Frank and Josh. I think they're pretty important young players for the Mavericks. And so we'll get into a little propaganda, maybe talk about how those guys can play next year. And so we'll get into that. But let's start with Shams Charania just coming out of the woodwork. And whenever you see a Shams Charania like notification, it's like the Dallas Mavericks will, and it's like your eyes.
Yeah, that's why I turned them off.
Your eyes just get big. It was like the other day when they signed those two training camp guys. You're like, what did they do? And we covered them on the show yesterday, so you can go listen to that, watch it on YouTube if you want to hear about them. But he said, after a blowout Game 7 loss in the West semis, the Phoenix Suns will host the Dallas Mavericks in a season opener for both teams on October 19th. Luka Doncic and his new backcourt starter Spencer Dinwiddie versus Devin Booker and Chris Paul. So my question is, was this the right choice for a season opener? For the Suns to return to start their season where their season ended like a couple months ago?
Yeah, I like it. I think NBA knows what they're doing with their opening games. And I think this is a great opening night. And I know some people think it should be in Dallas, but I like it being in Phoenix. I think I'm very interested to see, and I guess we'll get more into this, where this rivalry goes moving forward. If it is, in fact, a rivalry, or if it's just like a one-off playoff matchup that you had some heated moments, but every playoff matchup does.
For sure.
But in Phoenix, the crowd's going to be booing. Luka's going to get booed every time he touches the ball. And we know what Luka does when, he has some reason to show out. So I'm very excited about it.
You mentioned that, like, the disrespect. Is it disrespectful that it's playing at Phoenix and not in Dallas, and so it's going back to the scene of the crime where that Game 7 happened?
Maybe disrespectful for Phoenix because it's just going to be Luka laughing at their courtside fans for another 48 minutes. So maybe for them, but maybe not for the Mavs.
Oh, I can't wait for as soon as, like, if the Suns win this game, that's it. We're right back where it started.
Ayton was the right draft pick. I mean, it happens every time.
It's become sort of a rivalry on Twitter, at least. Like the Mavs fans and Suns fans go back and forth at each other. And so I think that part is a rivalry. But what constitutes a rivalry? Like, are the Suns a Mavs rival now?
There's some context there because of the 2018 draft. There's the Ayton and Luka will forever kind of be tied together the same way that like Trae Young and Luka will be tied together. So there's that aspect to it. And, the Suns, Luka's whole career, what was it going into the playoffs? Luka was like 1-8 against them.
Oh, yeah. They never beat the Suns, like, ever. It was one of the things that Suns fans kept throwing at us, like the whole time as we were previewing the series and all that. And we would go on Locked On Suns and they would talk about it. And then their fans would be like, there's no shot. They never beat them. It's just, constant. It was like 10 games in a row at one point.
Yeah.
Like, even going back to like the Alec Peters, like, legendary game.
They were always a matchup nightmare for us. But, the thing, I just don't know. And the series had some, the Luka special, the Devin Booker and Chris Paul laughing after Game 2 at Luka's defense. So there's some, I think the seeds for a rivalry are there, but I think we need to see it one more time in the playoffs, maybe, before I can consider it a real rival. And then you mentioned the Suns fans. It's just Suns fans versus the world over there on Suns Twitter.
I think it might be.
So I don't know how much that plays into it, but I'm very interested to see where it goes. That would be a fun team to have a rivalry with.
I think it might be because Locked On Suns did crossovers with Locked On Pelicans in their first round series too, and Jake Madison from Locked On Pelicans was like, "These Suns fans, man, like I don't know what got into them." I saw a TikTok about living in Arizona, and apparently they have like these constant dust storm tornadoes, and there's also like some kind of mold in their soil that gets into them, and they all have like this sickness that comes around. It's like,
oh, God.
It just sounds like living in Arizona. Like, of course you'd be ornery if these things were happening to you. There's scorpions and poisonous spiders everywhere.
Yeah, that explains a lot. Now that you say that,
it's all old people.
Yeah, exactly.
People in the desert trying to figure out what animals are outside their house.
Hey, they say I've never been, so I can't. People say it's great, but
I like how I quoted a TikTok, but I didn't say who it was, and I just spent it trashing Arizona the whole time.
Oh, that's fine. That's all right.
Are the Clippers a rivalry then? Like, do the Mavs have a rival right now? Because if it's not the Suns, if there's not enough back and forth, just the one playoff series may not equal a rival. But
yeah,
the Clippers count.
I think 95% of Mavs fans would say yes, but I think probably 5% of Clippers fans would say yes. Just because I think for a rivalry to really exist, there has to be some back and forth between both. Like one team needs to win, and the next year, the next team. That's why the Spurs and Mavs were such a good rivalry. Even the Suns and Mavs, like back in the mid 2000s, that was a good rivalry too, because there was back and forth. One team would win, and the next team would win. The Clippers beat the Mavs twice in a row, so it's just kind of like, I don't know. I would say that's the closest thing the Mavs have to a rivalry, though, is the Clippers.
What about that one like 50-point win the Mavs had over the Clippers? That one.
Yeah, that was insane. That was definitely a nice feeling moment. But it is funny how like Mavs fans will always go back to that series against the Clippers, and sometimes it gets talked about like the Mavs actually won that series just because Luka played so crazy, and taking it to 7 was not. Mavs had no business taking that series to 7, considering the talent on both teams.
No, definitely. With Tim Hardaway Jr. as the second best player in that series for the Mavs, like they had no shot, and so it was a win. Like we considered it a successful season at the end of that. Some people would say, "Oh, you got to win a series for it to be successful," but I considered it a successful season at that point. I kind of wonder if rivalries, like you have to have history, right? The Lakers Celtics doesn't happen unless they play a bunch of times in the finals in like the 60s and 70s, and they did. And like Michigan, Ohio State, they play each other every single year. There has to be some kind of history there, and I don't think there's enough history for Suns Mavs to be a rivalry. Like just one series there doesn't make it a rivalry. Right. Clippers, you could talk me into more. Marcus Morris is still there, but like Harrell's gone, Beverly's gone. I don't know if Paul George and Kawhi, like they don't really get into it as much. They seem to try to be like above it, like even more than Booker and Chris Paul did.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that counts as a rival. Like I don't know if they have one right now. I think you have to be a really good team for a while to have a rival.
Yeah, and I think there has to be some like more context too beyond just the games. That's why I mentioned with the Suns, there is the 8 and 2018 draft pick connection that'll always play in. Even the Hawks, like I would love for a world where the Hawks were good and the Mavs were good and they were perennial finals. Like I think that'd be a really fun rivalry because you would have the Trae Young, Luka Doncic, the draft trade.
Be like a really weird that would Magic and Bird.
Yeah, exactly. And that was like we said the Celtics and Lakers. That was a big part of it too, was the Magic and Bird thing. So I just don't know. I don't know how many rivalries really are there in the NBA right now, though, when you think about it.
Well, right now you have it's like players revenge games, right? Like this,
exactly.
This whole like DeJounte Murray and Paolo Banchero thing will become a rivalry, right? Like anytime it used to be anytime Embiid played Andre Drummond or anything like that, it was a rivalry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Things like that. So you have like players that anytime LeBron plays, I don't know. Feels like anybody. Yeah, Toronto, anybody. Kyle Lowry, DeRozan. Yeah. That it feels like it's a rivalry, but yeah. And then you go back to the old man screams at cloud, like all players are friends with each other. So how can you have real rivals at this point if everybody's just friends with each other?
I think it's more so a fans thing at this point. Like Mavs fans and Spurs or Suns fans, from what I've seen on Twitter, is there a rivalry there? Oh yeah. I don't think these fan bases like each other in the slightest. But I don't know how much that gets to the players. I think Luka has a lot of FU in his game.
Oh, so for sure.
The disrespect from Devin Booker, I think he takes that stuff very personally. And I don't know. I'm just really interested to see. Like, I'm interested to see if their matchups this season, if it's both teams are trying their hardest, no matter what game of the season it is, no matter where teams are at. Like, are they going to go at each other? They may not be able to tell you.
There may not be like extended history, like multiple games or series of history. But that like Luka special moment, and then Chris Paul and Devin Booker like laughing, and then the picture of Luka like looking up at Devin Booker. I don't know if that it like did we fabricate that enough into a rivalry? Like maybe we did just with all that stuff, because there is like a lot of moments. Like sometimes you don't even get that many moments in a series, and it seemed like there was enough in that one. It's interesting.
Especially considering no games in that series were close. That's the crazy thing about it. Every game was a blowout from both teams. So if you had like one game where it was like a buzzer beater win, I think maybe that would add to it a little bit more. But
let us know in the comment section below. What do you think? Are the Suns and Mavs rivals right now? Does it count? Are you excited about the first game? Let us know in the comments. And coming up, let's get into some over-unders. We know what the over-under is for the Mavericks. Is it too high? Is it too low? All the teams that are above the Mavericks. And then we'll get into some of the Eastern Conference teams that we didn't get to yesterday and talk about which teams are slated to have more wins than the Mavs. We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Built Bar. It's a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. They're delicious. I have one pretty much every day. I don't think I had one today, but the cookie dough chunk puffs are delicious. They're so good. It's a bar covered in 100% chocolate with marshmallow fluff in the middle, 160 calories, 15 grams of protein, 8 grams of sugar, just 8. They have real cookie dough chunks in the middle of them. Go check them out. The brownie batter puff is a really delicious bar. And you can go use the promo code LOCKEDON15. That's LOCKEDON15, the number 1, the number 5 at the end of Locked On to get 15% off your entire order. If you put it in right now, it's built.com. Go get your bars. All right, slightly biased. We're getting into the Dallas Mavericks, and let's actually start here before we get into the over-unders. Do you think the Mavericks are better or worse or the same that they were last season? If the roster is just like this? It's the question of the offseason.
It's next to an impossible question to answer right now. I think that there is most certainly a world where they're better, but I guess I'll just, if I not giving you a cop-out answer, I wouldn't put money on that necessarily, but I definitely see a world where they would be better. You really need Spencer Dinwiddie, and I made this argument on Twitter that Spencer Dinwiddie might be like one of the most top 5 important players in the entire league, just based off of how much the Mavs are going to need him to perform without Jalen Brunson
and stay healthy.
And if you get, stay healthy. Exactly. If you get what you got out of him after the trade deadline consistently, and he is healthy, and you bring in Christian Wood and JaVale McGee, there's a world where you're a better team. There just is. But I don't know. It's Jalen Brunson was really important, man. I feel like a lot of people are sort of sleeping on that a tiny bit. In Mavs fandom, trying to write it off, but
Jalen Brunson was really important, and just in time to record the podcast, Mark Stein just reported that the Knicks are scheduled to be in Dallas for former Mavericks guard Jalen Brunson's return to Big D on December 27th.
Ooh.
The league sources tell me. So 2 days after New York plays Philadelphia on Christmas. So the Knicks play at home against Philadelphia on Christmas. The Mavs will play the Lakers at home, and then the Mavs will have a home game 2 days after Christmas to bring back Jalen Brunson. What's the feels? What's the vibe on that game? Do you think it's going to be like?
See, if I were there, I would cheer for him. I would clap for him. I hold a lot of respect for Brunson for what he did as a second round pick. He never complained when he was here.
Yeah, true.
He got better every year and was a huge piece. I mean, we don't make the conference finals without him. Like, no doubt about it.
No.
So I'll always appreciate it. And I don't feel like there's any animosity there between him and the Mavs, at least that we know of right now. I mean, who knows? Something could drop between now and the start of the season. But I don't know. I understand if people boo him, though. Like, that's just what I'll say. I get it. It's sports. He left.
Cheering him when he gets introduced? Possibly. Yeah, right. Like, I can see that. But
I'm not cheering after a bucket.
But during the game, when does it stop? Like, okay, we cheer when he gets introduced, like, welcome back, like, good job, like, way to go get the bag. But as soon as he hits his first bucket, as soon as he like takes the court, when he gets a steal,
when tip-off starts, like, it's over.
It's done.
The happiness and fun feelings are over the moment the game starts.
And he's just another player on another team that we
I feel like
a little bit more.
It's patronizing otherwise, because then it's like, oh, good job, Jalen Brunson. Like, this man just got $26 million a year.
Do these games matter? Like, more so than just the it means something to players. Like, it's sentimental to the player to come back. But do you think those games mean a little bit more to the players, or do you think that they go out there? Like, is Luka going to go out of his way to just post up Jalen Brunson every time?
No doubt in my mind, yes. Luka, like I said, Luka has so much FU in his game. There's just no way he doesn't go after Jalen Brunson every chance he gets. But then for the Knicks, ever since the KP trade, man, they treat
got something.
Mavs games like a game 7 of the finals. It doesn't make any sense, especially considering nobody's even there anymore.
They always like bomb threes too. It seems like they just shoot way better than they normally do.
And Julius Randle too. Every time he plays in Dallas, it's like, I don't know if he wanted to come here really bad or something, and the Mavs would just turn a cold shoulder to him every time. I don't know what the deal is, but
he's from here, so that some people perform really well against their like hometown team, and others just like have too much fun the night before and then don't. But
yeah, exactly.
It's interesting. So there you go. December 27th is going to be the return of Jalen Brunson. Interesting. Right after Christmas. That's a little like that. That's a pretty big stretch there. Home against the Lakers on Christmas Day. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the Christmas Day game? We didn't get your thoughts.
I'm shocked they gave the Mavs a home. Like Mavs playing on Christmas, that'll be the case forever. Luka has that gravity. But at home against the Lakers, it was kind of shocking to me.
That they pulled the Lakers in too. Really, was what really got me. It's not just that they are playing the Lakers like in LA, but that they pulled them to Dallas.
Yeah, that's very shocking to me. I don't know if it was a time slot thing or what, but like they just have too many West Coast teams playing on that day. I don't know, but
the Clippers are playing Christmas Day too, right?
Are they? I don't remember the exact schedule.
I gotta go back and look at mine.
I know the Warriors and Grizzlies, right? So maybe they just didn't have like another.
Clippers are not. No, the Clippers don't have a Christmas Day game. So yeah, I don't know what it is, but so to me that says more about the Mavs than it says about any other team on there because they garnered that game.
Yeah, that is the ultimate sign of respect. A Christmas game by itself is a crazy thing. I remember the Mavs like never used to get those ever, and now they get like a home one against the Lakers.
This is like third in a row now.
Yeah.
Okay, BetOnline had the over-unders. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. The Mavericks have their over-unders 47.5. So 47.5 wins for the Mavericks, and they always hit it a little bit lower than normal. And we talked about the West. These are the West teams that are slated to have more wins, or that Vegas thinks is going to have more wins than the Mavs. Tell me which of these teams could you see being below the Mavs? Phoenix, the Clippers, the Warriors, Denver, Memphis, Minnesota. All those teams have more wins according to Vegas than
the only teams I would say if they are healthy. I don't see a world where the Mavs are better than them. Golden State, Clippers, and the Nuggets probably. I'm really high on the Nuggets, but all those other teams, Minnesota, come on, like that. I am a believer in them. I think I made a hot take video or something where I said that they would be the 1 seed in the West just because Gobert's a walking top 7 defense pretty much. So I can see it. But I haven't seen it. I haven't seen them play. Right. So I can't say that they'll be better. Memphis, I don't know what it is. They scream regression to me.
There's a long way to come down for them. Like they were the second best. They had the second best record in the league last year. And it just doesn't.
And it didn't make any sense. Like the record without Ja, which was insane. I mean, I like their team is really, really uber talented, but progression's not always linear. So I could see them maybe taking a step back. And then Phoenix, I don't know. They're kind of a wild card to me right now because they had 64 wins last year.
No, it's a lot. Man. They're only slated at their over-under is only 52.5.
Yeah, that seems crazy that Vegas thinks they're going to have a 12-game regression. I don't know if there's like something more there. Chris Paul getting older. Maybe they're putting a lot of stock into that. But I could see a world where the Mavs are better than them, though, too.
Or just that they keep failing in the playoffs. And so they're like, all right, well.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, we're talking about teams like the Nuggets and Clippers where it's like, if they're healthy, those are teams that are notoriously unhealthy.
True. Yeah. You're bet. That's the bet, right? That's the bet, and that's why some of these are a little bit lower. Like you're betting on Phoenix for Chris Paul to not get hurt for a while, exactly. For Ayton and Booker, or Ayton to like be okay with the Suns after that whole contract.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know what's going on there either.
So the Eastern Conference teams we didn't get to yesterday: Milwaukee 53, the Sixers 50.5, the Heat at 50. These are all their over unders. Boston and Brooklyn don't have odds right now. They're holding out on the Booker or the Kevin Durant trade, it seems like, or a Donovan Mitchell trade or whatever.
Ooh, Boston not having odds is spicy.
I know. Which of those 5 teams do you think? So I guess they're all probably slated. If everybody just comes back, I would guess that all 5 of those teams are slated to have a higher over under than the Mavs. But which ones of those do you see?
Boston's going to be incredible. Brooklyn, if they don't trade KD and Kyrie, there's just still too much going on there for me. I would probably say the Mavs have a better regular season than them. But Milwaukee, I mean, they're Milwaukee. They have Giannis. They're an incredible team. Miami, I could see it.
Should be back.
Yeah, Chris Middleton will be back and healthy. I mean, again, though, he's one of those dudes, too, that can get hurt quite a bit. But Miami, I don't know. Jimmy Butler's getting older. I could see maybe a world where They regress a tiny bit, but they're always good. And they always, even if somebody regresses, like Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, these like random guys just come in and become incredibly good role players. Which Martin twin do they have? They have Caleb, right? I'm pretty sure they have Caleb.
Yes, right? Because the only free agent the Hornets signed was Cody Martin.
Yeah. They brought Caleb Martin in, and he became one of the best wing defenders in the entire NBA. Like, it's just crazy what they do. And then who was the other one? The Sixers?
Yeah, Sixers are.
That's another team
Sixers
too.
are 50.5. That's 3 more wins on their over under than the Mavs have.
That doesn't shock me too much. I mean, Embiid, Harden, Maxi's really good, but Embiid, that's the thing too with like the Clippers and the Nuggets. Where is Embiid gonna play 50 games or 70 games or what?
Luka is also the number 1 favorite to win MVP. He was at plus 450 yesterday. Giannis is at plus 600, Embiid plus 750, Durant plus 900, Jokic plus 1,000. So that gap between Luka and Giannis is pretty big there. It's like 150 points. Should Luka be the MVP favorite going into next year?
Oh yeah, I will be placing a bet on Luka winning the MVP. Like, I think this is the moment for him. I really do. He'll have narrative on his side. That's a big thing too, because it kind of wasn't his turn yet. Voters need to see some type of playoff success usually, unless you have just like an insane season like we've seen from Jokic. But even then, Jokic made the conference finals in the bubble, right?
Well, even LeBron, LeBron makes the finals and then he's MVP.
Exactly.
Then all of a sudden he could be an MVP conversation.
Yeah, like Jokic is not winning a third in a row, especially considering 2 first-round exits in a row where they only won 2 games combined, I'm pretty sure.
For them, I always go with, for like him and Giannis now, I always go with, look at the guys that won 3 MVPs. There's just, the list is just, it's like Magic, Bird, Wilt, Kareem, Moses Malone, and like LeBron, and that's it. It's like there's not many other guys outside of that. You have to be insanely good to get 3 MVPs.
I do feel bad. Like there's just Jokic. I think Jokic could average a 30-point triple-double, and I just don't think there's a world where they give it to him. Unless they win like 70 games. Yeah. Giannis, I mean, Giannis is kind of in that LeBron, like peak LeBron territory where it's like, well, if you're going to give the MVP to the most valuable player every year, you got to give it to Giannis.
Yeah. But Embiid, people were saying on Twitter today that like the Sixers are getting, what is it? Opening night, Sixers at Celtics. And then the Christmas Day game is Sixers Knicks, and they're like, "Oh, here they go! They're showcasing Embiid. They're putting."
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, "Man, they're really pushing the Sixers,
really pushing the Embiid case." So I don't know. I would put, if I had to bet, I would put money on it on plus 750 for Embiid. Like those odds, I think I would take more than Luka at plus 450. But yeah, I hope it's Luka's turn. I hope that the regulars with. Improving their front court is, like you said, such a big improvement. I think it could help this team wins-wise in the regular season a ton, and that would wins more than anything will help Luka in the MVP case because he's already got the stats, he's already got the like moments. He's gonna get those moments again. The game winner, he had multiple game winners last year. With the Memphis lean, the Boston shot. Like there's just so many moments that he generates. But yeah, the wins will come. All right, coming up, let's get into a little propaganda. Frank Ntilikina, Josh Green, end of the bench guys, but which I think there's a role for one of them. Like one of them can step up next year and really like take their hand and just wring the neck on like, a rotation spot. Which one is it? We'll talk about that coming up. All right, Slightly Biased. We are here, Slightly Biased from his great YouTube channel. Go check it out.
Check it out.
He had a great video on Frank Ntilikina. I laughed out loud by myself in my office when you did the Gobert French Prince joke in your video. Really good stuff. And then you also had a Josh Green, like most improved player, where you're just going propaganda, like just straight up propaganda on us. Yeah. And if you're not a native English speaker, propaganda is literally just like thing that you may not necessarily believe, but you're just gonna push it because it's either fun or it's falls in the ideology that you have, and so we're just gonna push these narratives on these guys. Exactly. I do believe though that one of these guys, Frank Ntilikina and Josh Green, can have a role next year. It's wide open for them. If the Mavs don't add anybody else. If they don't add another ball handler, another wing, somebody else, they don't get a Bogdanovich or a Patrick Beverley or somebody like that in one of these pseudo trades, then one of these guys will have a spot in the rotation. Who do you think it is?
Well, I mean, from what I've heard, I think Frank has a better shot right now currently. Obviously, the last we saw of Josh Green, he got benched in the playoffs, obviously, and then Frank goes from kind of just getting minutes here and there in the regular season and getting gigantic minutes against
crazy.
the 1 seed and like playing really well in those minutes defensively at least. And I think that's kind of like, I think defensively both are good. Don't get me wrong. Consistently, you get it more from Frank, but offensively, that's a tough one. Like, I think there's the pathway for Josh Green developing his offensive game. I see that more than I see it for Frank, because with Josh Green, the intangibles are really good offensively. He's a good passer. Like that's something that's you really can't teach. Like when you watch him drive, like he'll have moments where he drives and then we'll just whip out a kick out or like a little wraparound pass around a big. And you're just like, where did that come from Josh Green? And he's really good in transition. So if he could, with him, it's all confidence. You know, that's what I get whenever I went back and watched Josh Green games where it's like, if he made his first three, then I was like, oh, Josh Green's going to have a pretty good game offensively. Like it's just going to be there. But if he misses his first shot or, getting blocked by Gobert, I think what was that, game 2?
Oh, in the corner, I can just see it. Like I can feel that moment again. Like watching, I think
that felt like the moment where it was like Josh Green's postseason was done. Like that it was never coming back from that moment. Even though I think the Mavs won that game, but
I think it was the first moment when Gobert was like 15 feet away from him. When Josh had the ball, and it's so clearly Josh Green. Like on Friday, I talked about players that can improve the most from year to year and what they can improve on. And the Josh Green segment was just me repeating over and over, it's just the shot. Like it literally is just that shot, because everything else is there for him. And everything else that is required of his role is there for him, right?
Exactly.
He can drive, like you said. His passing is incredible. He's the lube of the offense. Like he just comes in and he's whipping passes around, and like he makes side to side passes in the way that no other Maverick really does besides Luka, really. And that helps the Mavericks. And I think that the Jason Kidd sees that. You see like Josh Green averaged like 15 and a half minutes last year. Like the Jason Kidd and this coaching staff are trying to give him like some time. And he didn't shoot bad from three. He shot 36% last year in the regular season. We only took like one a game. He's got to take more than that. Like it's confidence, like you said. It's confidence in the shot. And from everything we've read and seen from his trainer from Vegas that he's been working out, he didn't go to Summer League because he literally just, when the season ended, he went to Vegas, which is where he works out anyway, and just started working out. Greg St. Jean said he was working out with Mavs people. Like he's been putting the work in. And if anybody can add a shot or can improve their shot, Josh Green would maybe be the number one on my list on the Mavs next year.
Yeah, I mean, like the shooting numbers really aren't bad when you look at them. And I think after the All-Star break, I don't know what that is, like 25 games. It was like 40% on over one and a half shots.
The problem with
they're all wide open.
I was gonna say the problem with his shooting numbers is like you're looking at a wide open percentage, right? Where you look at some guys, you're like, oh, they shoot 35%, but they're 45% on wide opens. Like this is Josh Green's percentage on wide open shots because they're literally all wide open with like 8 feet.
That's the Luka. I mean, that's Maxey. That's Dorian. Like, if you play alongside Luka, you're going to get those wide open threes. But he just, like, if he plays a lot of minutes, it has to be three and a half attempts a game from deep. That's what we need to see, because it's just, it can be so bad sometimes offensively for him that it's just like, if it doesn't improve, I don't know. Are you sold on his defense? I am. Yeah, I think he's just really quick. And his instincts, that's why I have a decent amount of faith in Josh Green legitimately. Defensively, it feels like he's always in the right place. And offensively, too. Like, he makes good cuts. He fills up space really well. And that's why I do believe in him. And his defense isn't, like, Frank's a better defender, I think, than Josh Green. Yeah,
I would agree, yeah. Well, also, we have to remind people, Frank is in year 6 now.
Yeah,
Frank has been in the NBA for a long time at this point. Played with the Knicks for, 4 years before he came over to the Mavericks, and Josh Green was a 19-year-old rookie they brought in that barely played at all because Rick Carlisle didn't. We know what Rick Carlisle thinks about rookies, and
it was the weird post-COVID season too,
and short off seasons and all that. So, are we doing this? Is the first real off season that they are we?
Yeah, we're doing it.
We're doing the drinking game? Okay.
KP's gone, so somebody has to fill that void.
My new one, I've been telling everybody this. Everybody listening is like going to roll their eyes. My new one is, this is Spencer Dinwiddie's first full offseason since returning from ACL. That's going to be the training camp slogan. I'm calling it. Yeah. I'm sticking to my guns right on that one.
Hey, man, there's some statistical backing there. Like, guys after ACL injuries, year 2.
I know, this is what everybody's going to say in training camp. That's good. I bet Jason Kidd, Nico Harrison, whoever else talks at training camp, someone will say that for sure.
I think Mavs fans are just so programmed to ignore that though after the KP ones. I always bought him hook, line, and sinker. And this year, this past offseason, I was like, no, you're not getting me again, man.
What's your thoughts on Christian Wood?
Oh, it's funny because I don't know if you saw this. I made a video on my channel about 5 players I did not want the Mavs to trade for, and Christian Wood is like the centerpiece of that video.
We did the exact same episode like 3 days before the trade.
Yeah, the trade happened like a week later. I just the thing was for me though is it's like I don't want to give up value for Christian Wood, but you really didn't give up any value. So I'm 100% cool with the trade. It's very low risk. If it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. But offensively, it should be great. I don't see a way it's not. You know, a lot of Rockets fans have said, "Oh, he's a black hole offensively." Man, Kevin Porter Jr. The kid's talented, but that was his point guard. It's a different game entirely with 77 running the show.
Luka wants a black hole because Luka can pass into a black. Luka is one of the few players that passes into a black hole, right? And can contain it.
Yeah, and then I remember Harrison Barnes always got the black hole stuff. I would love Harrison Barnes on our team currently, so we just needed somebody else who could get. Something on his own.
The Harrison Barnes thing was so strange because he was like the perfect player next to Luka, and they just traded him for cap space because the roles just didn't work. Like he came in and was like, "All right, this is my team. I'm the guy that takes the shot." And I don't know. I've never met I've never been in contact with a player that is the nicest best guy that you ever talked to, and for some reason on the court they just couldn't make it work, and I kind of blame Carlisle a little bit. I kind of blame Carlisle for that whole situation.
I blame Donnie Nelson and Mark Cuban. Harrison Barnes being your pseudo best player and go to on offense before Luka, that was never going to work out ever. That's kind of like last offseason I stopped getting really mad at Dwight Powell because I was like, Dwight Powell just shouldn't be in these positions. Let's just call it what it is.
Well, now he's third string center, or fourth.
That's exactly where he should be, and he'll be good in that role.
It'll be good. There you go. You can go follow Slightly Biased on Twitter, and you can also follow his YouTube channel. Great stuff over there. And welcome to anybody that's watching from over on that channel. You can subscribe to this channel. Go check out Locked On NBA every single day. I am on there on Wednesdays on that channel talking NBA all the time. We got great stuff over there. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom.
Boom.